The storm had passed, leaving behind a sky still streaked with gray clouds and the faint scent of wet earth. Daniel Carter gripped the steering wheel of his pickup, eyes fixed on the road yet mind drifting. A single father, worn from sleepless nights and endless responsibility, he never imagined his quiet life would intersect with destiny tonight. And yet, there she was, Sophie, a tiny, shivering girl standing alone on the roadside, her golden hair plastered to her pale cheeks, clutching a soaked stuffed bunny. Something in her wide, uncertain eyes stirred a protective instinct Daniel hadn't felt in years. Without hesitation, he pulled over, heart hammering as he reached for her, unaware that this act of kindness would unravel a story far larger than a lost child. By dawn, his world, and his heart, would be forever changed, tangled in secrets, love, and the fragile hope of a new beginning. Rain hammered against the windshield as Daniel Carter navigated the lonely, winding road in his pickup truck. The night was dark, the rural stretch of asphalt slick with water, illuminated only by the truck's headlights reflecting off puddles. His mind was elsewhere, tired from the relentless routine of work and caring for his 6-year-old daughter, Lily. The rhythmic patter of rain against the metal roof and the soft breathing of his sleeping child in the back seat provided a strange, fleeting comfort. Then, through the sheets of rain, a small figure appeared. A little girl, drenched, her golden blonde hair plastered to her pale face, stood frozen on the roadside, clutching a soaked stuffed bunny. Daniel's heart clenched. Without thinking, he swerved, bringing the truck to a screeching stop. He jumped out, rain soaking through his flannel and denim, and rushed to her side. Kneeling in the pouring rain, he wrapped his jacket around her trembling shoulders. Her wide, fearful eyes met his, and in that instant, a connection was forged, an unspoken promise of safety in a world that had offered her none. Back in the truck, the warmth of the cabin contrasted with the chaos outside. Lily stirred but remained asleep, unaware of the storm outside or the tiny life now nestled beside her. Daniel glanced in the rearview mirror, the two girls huddled together under the blanket, and felt an unfamiliar surge of hope and responsibility. The night's events had set something in motion, an unexpected, fragile journey of trust, care, and the beginnings of a story that would change them all forever. Morning arrived softly, the remnants of last night's storm still clinging to the small town. Sunlight filtered through mist and wet leaves, casting a gentle glow across puddled streets and glimmering rooftops. Daniel Carter parked his muddy pickup outside the old red brick sheriff's office, the building's American flag hanging still, droplets clinging to its folds. His flannel shirt was wrinkled, damp from the night's downpour, denim jacket slightly heavy on his shoulders. Inside, he carried not just his own fatigue, but a new, fragile responsibility, Sophie Bennett, the little girl he had found alone on the road. In the back seat, Lily Carter stirred, her soft brown curls falling across her pink sweater. She blinked sleepily, her small hand wrapped around her worn stuffed rabbit. Beside her, Sophie Bennett, golden blonde hair damp and slightly tangled, clutched her own soaked bunny tightly. The ride had been quiet, the hum of the engine filling the air, yet the weight of uncertainty lingered. Daniel's gaze softened as he glanced back at the two girls, noticing how Lily instinctively tried to comfort Sophie, a protective gesture that mirrored the quiet bond already forming. Inside the sheriff's office, the wooden floors gleamed faintly under the sunlight streaming through rain-streaked windows. Sheriff Harold Mason, a broad-shouldered man in his 50s, listened as Daniel recounted the events of the stormy night. The gravity of the situation settled in. Sophie's mother, Evelyn Bennett, a wealthy and influential woman, had been desperately searching for her daughter. The revelation added tension to the morning's calm, yet Daniel felt a strange reassurance. Sophie was safe, for now, and this small-town office, bathed in warm sunlight, marked the beginning of a journey neither he nor the children would forget. Evelyn Bennett stepped into the sheriff's office, the soft echo of her heels breaking the quiet stillness of the room. The morning light slanted through rain-streaked windows, casting golden streaks across the worn wooden floor. Her platinum blonde hair was tied neatly into a ponytail, and her beige tailored trench coat framed her poised yet anxious figure. Though her posture carried the grace of a woman accustomed to control, her emerald green eyes shimmered with maternal worry and restrained emotion. Her gaze found Sophie almost instantly, a small figure clutching a damp stuffed bunny, golden blonde hair slightly tangled, blue eyes wide with uncertainty. Evelyn's breath caught. For a brief second, time seemed to falter. With careful grace, she lowered herself to one knee, extending her hands as if afraid to startle the fragile trust in the air. Her voice trembled with both authority and tenderness as she whispered Sophie's name, not as a stranger, but as a mother aching to reconnect. Daniel Carter watched quietly from beside the sheriff's desk, his presence steady and protective. His short dark hair was slightly tousled, faint stubble shadowing his jaw, and his hazel eyes softened as he took in the scene. Beside him, Lily Carter stood close to Sophie, her small hand intertwined with her sister's, brown curls brushing her cheeks, offering comfort in silence. The sheriff lingered at the doorway, sensing that this moment wasn't his to interrupt. Sunlight flickered across Evelyn's face as Sophie hesitated, then took a hesitant step forward. Evelyn's breath trembled, her hands met the child's. The tension in the room melted into a fragile calm, a moment suspended between truth and healing, where fear met love, and the first thread of trust began to weave itself anew. Inside the small-town sheriff's office, the air felt lighter now, though still charged with the remnants of the storm and recent tension. Daniel Carter stood near Sophie and Lily, his flannel shirt sleeves slightly damp, denim jacket loosely draped over his shoulders. His hazel eyes scanned the children protectively, ensuring they felt safe amid the formal surroundings. Evelyn Bennett knelt slightly beside Sophie, platinum blonde ponytail falling neatly down her back, emerald eyes full of concern and maternal warmth. Her beige-tailored trench coat and polished heels reflected the subtle glow of morning sunlight filtering through the rain-streaked windows. Gently, she spoke to Sophie, explaining the care and love that had been searching for her, while Lily's small hand held Sophie's in quiet reassurance. The sheriff watched silently, nodding with approval, signaling that the official part of this reunion was concluded. With a kind gesture, the sheriff invited them outside, suggesting they enjoy the fresh air and talk more freely in the open. Daniel led the girls toward the sunlit park, his calm and steady presence guiding them safely. Evelyn walked alongside Sophie, lightly holding her hand, her face soft with relief and love. Lily stayed close to Sophie, protective and comforting, as the little girl's tentative trust began to blossom. Outside, the world seemed renewed after the storm. Sunlight filtered through leafy trees, casting warm, dappled patterns on vibrant green grass. Birds chirped overhead, and a gentle breeze stirred the leaves, carrying the faint, fresh scent of the earth. For the first time that morning, laughter and soft conversation began to replace anxiety. Walking together, they moved from the tense, confined walls of the station into a space of warmth, hope, and emotional connection, a small, unconventional family finding trust, reassurance, and the fragile beginnings of a joyful bond. The late morning sun filters gently through the tall trees of the park, casting warm, dappled light across the lush green grass. Birds chirp softly, and a light breeze carries the fresh scent of flowers and earth, setting a calm, serene atmosphere. Evelyn kneels slightly to meet Sophie's gaze, her emerald eyes shining with love, urgency, and relief. Sophie clutches her damp stuffed bunny, hesitant at first, but drawn toward the comfort radiating from her mother. Evelyn's voice is soft and tender as she explains the truth about Sophie's situation, the events that led her to be lost, and the unyielding love that has always been waiting for her. Daniel stands nearby, his hazel eyes calm yet attentive, processing the words while remaining a protective anchor for both Sophie and Lily. Lily gently squeezes Sophie's hand, offering quiet reassurance and a sense of security. Slowly, Sophie's blue eyes soften, curiosity and trust replacing fear and uncertainty. As the truth settles, Daniel and Evelyn sit together on a wooden park bench, the sunlight filtering around them. They exchange calm, understanding glances, a subtle bond forming as Daniel absorbs the weight of the revelation while maintaining his protective presence. Sophie and Lily play nearby, occasionally glancing at the bench, their laughter blending with the soft rustle of leaves and distant bird calls. Finally, Sophie steps into Evelyn's open arms, and the mother and daughter share a heartfelt embrace. Daniel watches tenderly, pride and care evident in his expression, while Lily stands close, holding Sophie's hand and offering comfort. Laughter, gentle smiles, and soft conversations ripple through the group. In this sunlit park, amid the warmth of nature and the golden glow of sunlight, the newly formed family bonds solidify, trust and love blooming. The moment is intimate, joyful, and heartwarming, marking a beautiful beginning for a future filled with connection, protection, and happiness.